자, 스탠리 페러블 울트라 디럭스 해보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 됐죠? 확인. 해본 적이 있나요? 봤던 것 같긴 한데 되게 옛날에 한번 막 유행했던 게임이 아닌가 싶은데 기억이 안 나니까 아니오로 할게요. 해보진 않았어요. 저는 잘 보이는데 사실 이게 요 정도로 할게요. 현재 시각이요. 아니 자기가 알아서 긁어가면 되지 이거. 40분 딱 될 때 확인을 누를까요? 뭐 1분 정도의 오차는 괜찮을 것 같은데, 그리고 그냥 게임 윈도우 시간을 긁어가도 될 텐데 이걸 입력을 받네요 굳이. 이게 뭐 중요할까요? 지금 2시 맞죠? 어허. 바뀐 지 얼마 안 됐었나 봐요. 자, 딱 바뀌었네요. 접근성 설정 기본 메뉴에서 액세스할 수 있습니다. 설정부터 한번 볼까요? 번역 라벨이 뭐지? 뭐 다른 거 건드릴 건 없어 보이죠? 자, 시작해 보도록 합시다. 스탠리 패러블이 있었는데 제가 안 했거든요. 이게
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
확장
Stanley worked for a company in a
판이라는
big
것
building
같아서
where he was
확장으로 하고
employee number
싶었거든요.
427.
포함돼? 잘
Employee
모르겠어요.
number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push,
좀
how
난해한
long to push them,
그런
and in what order.
게임이었지
This is
않나.
what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
뭐야,
No one
콘솔
had showed
창
up
아니야?
to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
좀 빠른 것 같은데? 뭐 좀 어지러운 것 같은데요?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked,
회의실에
he couldn't
가보라고
find a
하네요.
trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
시키는 대로 해야 되나? 어느 쪽으로 갈래?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
문이 닫혔는데 근데?
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really worth it being here in the room.
뭐 아직 상호작용 같은 건
Room
없나?
so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs
알았어,
and some
갈게.
paintings.
아이,
Really worth it.
뭐야 진짜.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
뭐야 이거? 어!
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
왼쪽?
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
뭐지? 어두워.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
일단 시키는
And this
대로 가야
time,
되나?
suppose we don't wander so
그런
far off
건가?
track,
뭐지?
Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
지금부터 하는 거야?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
알았어, 시킨 대로 해볼게요.
When Stanley...
Oh.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
왼쪽으로 가보고 싶었어요. 여기가 어디야?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
아!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
뻔뻔하게 다시 계속
Stanley decided to
얘기하네.
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
어이, 문이 없는데?
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
상호작용은 안 되죠?
Aha! I knew we'd missed something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
여기
Now this-
어디야?
Well, I'll be
그러니까.
honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that
그래픽이
correct?
좋은데요?
Do you
생각보다.
remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know
Whoa!
you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those
왜 열심히
situations.
노력했어요?
Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
선을 꺼놨어? 이거 뭐 고속도로 그거야?
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that? You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? simply by the act of moving
양쪽
forward,
감도가
are we
다른 것 같아.
implying a journey such that a
오랜만에
destination is
해서
inevitably
그런가?
conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
아 시끄러. 뭐야 이게? 노래 좀 꺼주세요.
Cut the music.
그래.
Go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
어.
Oh, no, not
무조건
again.
이쪽으로 오게 돼
How
있나
could you
봐.
have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
아이고. 자.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
이쪽?
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story.
일단 그냥 길 쭉
lines or monitor rooms.
갈게요.
Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a
귀찮네요. 돌지
reverse
맙시다.
door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
뭐야? 좀 읽어보고 갈까요? 스탠리가 이야기를 플레이하려 하나 저지됨. 어디 가거나 뭘 할 수 없다. 게임 자동 재시작. 6번째 재시작. 라인 다시 찾음. 라인 따라가기 시작. 열화되기 시작한 사무실에 동일한 목적은 찾음. 이야기 지어내기 시도. 7번째 재시작. 뭐야 이거?
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall.
서점은
Well,
못 찾았던 것 같은데?
consulted me. Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do
뭐든
it. I
해봐
won't
빨리.
do
뭐야
it.
이게?
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the
말 많은
destination.
게임.
So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
뭐야?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
왜 자막이 안 나오냐? 보스 그 오피스에 간다고 얘기한 것 같은데요? 위로 올라가서.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
여긴가? 내려갑시다.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
아니, escape라고 저렇게 적혀 있는데 일단 따라가 봐.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
여기도 모니터방 아니야? 아닌가? 모르겠네요. 누르는 게 있었구나.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his
오타라기엔
boring
너무
job?
많죠.
That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another
들어가면
human
되려나?
life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
전력 그게 있네. 저기 가면 부술 수 있지 않을까요? 아이들 상태에 있네요 지금. 그리고 여기에 시스템 전력.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power,
하면 되겠죠?
he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
끝인가?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
끝날 리가 없는데.
He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold?
나가면
But as
되는 거 맞나?
sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he
나가다
needed
뚝
to know.
떨어지고 막
It was
이런 게
perhaps
아닐까?
the only thing
벌써
worth
끝이야?
knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
끝? 왜 또 여기야?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
첫 번째 도전까지 달성. 게임을 클리어했다.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person
끝난
here
건가?
either.
그러니까 매번의
Feeling a wave of
트라이마다
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his
그거일까요?
boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
다르게
Coming to
해야
a
되는 건가?
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
야, 뭐야.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin
추가
number,
비밀번호?
2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known
대사가
this.
똑같았나?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
틀리면 뭐 도전 과제 있나
By
싶은데
simply
없네요.
pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
똑같은데?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to
못
turn around
가게
and get back
막는
on track.
느낌이죠.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
무한 통로네 이거.
As the machine whirred into motion, and
뭐야 이게?
Stanley
일단 안
was inched
죽었어요?
closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end
잠깐만.
to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell,
뭐야?
Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
살았는데?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
뭐야 이게? 여기 어디죠?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see
풍경화.
that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
스탠리의 컴퓨터. 복도 서랍, 사무실 컴퓨터, 이거 뭐야? 프리쉘인가 그건가? 스파이더 카드 놀이? 인플로이 데이터베이스. 크레딧 뭐야? 끝이야?
Great.
지하.
To number 6. Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be in the story.
좀 둘러볼까요? 보자. 개발 초기에는 우리가 스탠리가 외계인과 싸운 전장에서 끝난 엔딩을 디자인했다. 슈팅 게임을 좋아하는 사람들을 비웃을 걸로 해석하는 사람들이 우리는 그럴 의도가 아니었습니다. 그래요? 아파트 타이머. 못 본 게 좀 많은데 뭐야 이거? 이런 것도 다 있는 건가? 일단 저기 엑시트가 있는 건 봤어요. 그러면 저쪽을 먼저
Upward to the
보고
power source at the top of the facility to
Why
end
again,
this
this?
in just a big red button.
안 봤던 데가 있었는데 이쪽에. 여기. 자유 엔딩.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
끄면 되나?
Can you
눌렀어요?
see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
뭐지? 탈출 누르고 종료?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
뭐 다른 길이 있나?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
일단 안 갔던 데죠? 여기 또 뭐야?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
근데 떨어질 수도 있을 것 같은데?
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley
알았다.
knew it
하여튼
perfectly well.
루트가
Perhaps
그냥
he
다
wanted to stop by
다양한
the
거네.
employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the
아니 저긴
first open door
뛰어내릴
on
수
his
있어
left.
보였거든요. 중간에 한번 뛰어내려 보죠.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years
그러니까
ago.
저쪽도 길이 열려 있단 말이죠.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult.
일부러
but the
트럭
fact
위에
is that the story
떨어졌는데
has been about
충격이
nothing
흡수될까
but you
싶어서
all
안
this
됐네요.
time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
어디로 이어질까요? 내려가는 길인가?
Now listen carefully,
Oh,
this is
wow.
important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
누가 이기나 한번 보자.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining
뭐
the
더
entire
있겠지.
story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels
뭐야?
leaps ahead of where we were before.
새로운 문이
Go
생겼네요.
ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, of course. A 3. Really? Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion, you know? Any level of critical thinking or engagement with your
그전
surroundings?
버전을 안
Does that
해봤는데
sound
내가
good?
어떻게 알아?
Think we can do that? Yes? Wonderful. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
리더보드는 또 뭐야? 왜 리더보드가 생긴 거야?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
뭘?
In this game, the baby crawls
어.
left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
이런 류의 게임이라면 진짜 4시간을 그거에서 그거 하는 게 있지 않을까 싶은 생각도 들어요. 도전 과제 같은 게 있지 않을까 싶기도 해요. 미안해.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work.
다른 거 줘봐요,
Let's
다른
give it a
거.
shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation?
뭐야 이건?
Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total
산
mental
감시탑
depravity. So
아닌가?
far, I love
그런
everything
데서
about this
일하는
game,
그런
Stanley.
거 같죠 이건?
And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
건데 잠시만요. 자, 계속 가보도록 하겠습니다. 뭐더라 이거 약간 산불 감시하는 그런 게 있다고 듣긴 했거든요. 그런 직업이.
Oh no. No, 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 no. It
이렇게
can't
많이
be.
구해놨을 리가 없는데. 뭐가 안 된다는 거야?
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close
그래.
call. You nearly wandered off into that thing, that big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any. Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
아, 뭐 로켓리그잖아.
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around
뭐
in.
진짜
There isn't
로켓리그.
any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we
뭐지?
do
콜라보인가?
here? Let's see.
진짜
There are lots of cars here
리소스를
in the back, but
가져왔잖아.
obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports
로켓리그
ball.
해보고
Oh, what fun.
싶었는데
We
스팀에서
shall run the
내려가
bases and
버렸죠.
do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
그렇지.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought, and I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more
재밌는데?
euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable.
엄청 많이 떨고 했네.
More balls!
기왕 주실 거면 점프도 좀.
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right. Your little fun comes to an end.
돌려줘요.
This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set
공
the rules.
던져주고 가.
Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
골대 안으로 들어가면 되지 않을까 싶어요.
Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I
Okay.
can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back. We still have...
난 낭떨어진 줄 몰랐는데? 저쪽으로 가면 되는 거겠죠? 밝은 곳은 대부분 정답이다. 아닐 수도 있고. 아닐 수도 있고. 뭐 아무것도 없나? 어?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon.
결말은 도대체 언제 오는 거야?
I can wait. All of his co-workers
아,
were
이거
gone.
아까
What could
거기서
it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
내려가는 게 아니었던 것 같긴 한데.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize
위쪽
that investing
길도 한번
your trust in
가봐야겠죠?
someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her.
뭐야?
If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
왜 안 받아줬던 거야? 계속 누르고 있었는데.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
알았어.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating
아이,
lunch.
그건 게이머의
Now
본능이야.
he's
이거
going
어쩔 수
home.
없어.
Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
안 눌러. 안 누를 거야. 안 눌러. 네가 이기나 내가 이기나 한번 보자. 네가 이기겠네. 딴 거 눌러도 아무 그게 없네요. 알았어, 누를게.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he
TV가
stepped
없는데
up
TV를
from his
어떻게 봐?
desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths
아니,
and
이게 뭐야?
destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel
얼른
this freedom.
탈출해야겠어요.
Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything
사무실이
but an
돌아오고
observer,
있어.
that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley.
질문할 걸
Not so
그랬나?
different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
또 처음부터야?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
뭐야, new content?
Oh, new content? What does that mean? New content.
뉴 컨텐츠는 해봐야겠죠? 갈 만한데 다 가봤거든요 지금.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
안녕하세요.
As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and
이건 또
home
뭐야?
computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
이게 뭐
this
추가된
sounds delightful. I'm very
컨텐츠인
excited to see the
걸까요?
thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
그러니까 뭐야?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
뭐야 이거? 점프 서클?
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
점프 달라는 소원을 이루어주긴 했는데 이런 점프를 원한 건 아니었는데. 정확하게 원 안에서만 점프가 되나봐요. 남겨놓아야 될까요?
Is that it?
그러게
Surely
이게
that's not all the new
다야?
content. There has to be something else, right?
에이 설마 그죠? 이게 설마 다 뭐, 다시 올 수 없을 것 같으니 띄워주죠?
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content.
컨텐츠를 입으로만 그거 알맹이는 정말 이러면 안 돼요.
I knew there had to be something else. Let's
뭘
see
더
it.
줘봐요 그래.
I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new contents. 장난?
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar.
요즘 시대에 좀 잘 어울리는 것 같긴 하네요.
craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact,
확장
I'm looking
컨텐츠들.
right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says Test achievement, please ignore. What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game? And we'll
리셋?
try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
뭐 좀 바뀌었네요.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
오케이, 들어가 주죠. 알아서 안내요.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made
PC이긴
something
합니다.
special and tucked it away here where the
연결하긴
game's
했지만.
developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
이 배경은 또 뭐야?
I call it the Memory Zone.
메모리
It's
존.
where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant
당시
something.
게임들이 다 정직했는지는 잘 모르겠는데. 예. 상 받은 그건가? 더 라스트 오브 어스인데요. 그래요. 13이 맞네. 아, 그때 같은 때군요. 라오랑 같은 때군요. 안 나왔어야 됐는데, 그쵸? 뭐야, 도전 과제를 걸어놓은 것 같고. 이 도전 과제를 달성하는 것은 불가능합니다. 스토리 신 그건 것 같고 데뷔한 게임 혁신상 뭐 이런 거 노미니 됐었던 뭐 그건 것 같고 뭐 실제 그거를 실제 거를 해놓은 게 아닐까. 뭐야 여기.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
원작을 끝내고 온 건지도 잘 모르겠어요. 안 끝난 것 같았는데.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a
리뷰
game.
그만
9
읽어요.
out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
네, 스팀입니다. 어디로 가야 되죠?
These were simpler times,
열렸나?
Stanley.
아, 열렸구나. 오케이.
What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even
Steam
imagine
review.
what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and
실제 있는
unfunny,
리뷰인가요?
with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
비추천. 또 하나 있네요.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always
그래도
thought it did.
3시간이면 다 하고 평가를 내린
What an
거라고
awful
볼 수
memory
있겠네요.
to have to
그렇죠?
hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable
사실
track
좀
record.
그죠, 비현실적인 그걸 수
Like a
있어요.
failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remember.
비추천할 정도면 한 30분 찍히고 그만두지 않았어요? 이게 뭐야 이런 느낌으로 그만두는 경우가 많을 텐데. 네.
What's this one got to say?
거의 말이 안 9.8시간을 하고 정말 열심히 저런 사람들은 사랑하는 사람들이에요. 이 게임 좋아하는 사람들이 주로 애정어린
Well, yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you with just the push of a button,
엔딩 나올 것
you'll have
같은
zipped right
느낌인데요?
past it. It's what the players have been asking for.
니네가
and I'm
넣어
very
달라니까
proud to have
아예
delivered.
끝내줄게 뭐
No
이런
more
거
listening to me
아니겠죠?
rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people.
뭐가 그런
And if the
류로
people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here. We'll pretend that
말
I've
좀
just begun
그만.
an
버튼
interminable
좀
monologue.
제가
And it
웬만하면
goes
이런
something
게임
like
할 때
this.
이야기를 좀 다
The
듣고
story,
버튼을
other
누르려고
choices,
하는데
or what have
그만
you.
얘기해
And
좀.
therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much.
개발자 분위기나 제가 이나 봅시다. 어디까지 얘기를 준비했나? 다 들어주겠어요.
The logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say.
네, 그러면 얘기가 반복된다 싶으면 누를게요.
And therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah.
blah blah blah.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly.
뭔가 좀
You can tell me
다른
what you think.
비슷한
Okay,
장르는
so my
아니라고
theory
보긴
is
하는데요.
that
뭔가
any
디스코 엘리시움도
choice
좀
you've ever
생각나는
made
것
is simply
같아요.
a series of
대사를
choices
자꾸
made by
듣고
the
거긴
person
글을
who
계속
you
읽어서
are
그런가.
or
뭐
were or
비슷한
will be at the time of having
비슷한
made
느낌이
said
좀 오는
choice.
것 같긴 해요.
That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever
번이
given your
아니었군요.
great gift of mortal? Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power
한
of
번
the
스킵하면
button.
다
The minute I
스킵된 줄
start to go off
알았는데.
on a faultless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof.
그만해.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well,
그
I
버튼
want to say
튀어나오지
maybe
말고 그냥 꾹
30,
누르고 있죠.
45 minutes? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
그만.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down
시간과
in one
정신의
place and
방
not
뭐
moved
그런
for one
건가요?
entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only
아직
regret.
후회
There
더
is
해야겠다 야. 아직도 말 계속하는 거 보니까 후회해야겠다. 좋아요. 한 번 더 눌러야 하지 않을까. 문이 없네요. 그래요. 뭐지?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the
그만해,
jokes? Where are
정말.
the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their
안기가 있었군요. 안기.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the
아니 무슨 사이비 종교도 아니고. 그래, 그만. 근데 좀 무너지고 있는 것 같아요. 좋아요. 뭔가 변화가 일어나고 있어요. 다음 되면 좀 더 부서져 있지 않을까? 조금 더 변화가 일어난 것 같고요. 한 번 더 누르면 이제 좀 더 부서져 있지 않을까? 제 생각한 거랑 좀 다른데? 나가게 해줘요. 뭐가 좀, 소원은 되게 잘 들어주네요. 마이크를 듣고 있나? 뭐야 이게? 돌아왔다.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
녹음된 메시지를 주의하래요. 왜 자막이 안 나와 근데? 뭐 듣고 있으면 즉시 중단하라 뭐 그랬던 것 같은데. 뉴 컨텐츠로 안 가도 되는 건가 싶은데 저쪽은 다 갔던 것 같아요. 뉴 컨텐츠로 다시 갑시다.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
좀 다른 거 준비해 주세요. 여기 말고. 아, 또 여기야? 다른 거죠?
You
믿을게요.
see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even
그냥
further.
기본만 할 걸
Which is
그랬나?
why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
2.
Yes,
Right.
you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
툰에서 망한 게임도 참 많은데.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
이게 그 얘기였나? 잠깐만. 사물 자막이 나오나 했는데 안 나오네요. 저렇게 하면 나올 줄
Now, to be
알았는데.
clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
아, 이건 또 나오네? 시퀄은 좋다. 포탈2, 하프라이프2, 배트맨 아캄, 디비니티 오리지널 신2, 둠2, 알라딘2, 다크소울2, 222. 다는 모르지만 잘된 것들만 모아놓은 것 같긴 하네요. 다 해보진 않았지만.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
새롭다. 또 점프 서클이야? 끝없는 구멍. 무료 업적. 레벨 당기면 업적을 받는다?
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as
뭐
that.
그런 게 있었나 보네요. 안에 봐서 모르겠네요.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
장난하나 지금.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
끝없는 구멍. No screenshot?
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
제 생각은 들을 생각이 없었나 보네요. 그죠?
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
안심 양동이. 머천다이스 샵 같은 것도 있고. 어디를 마지막으로 가야 될까요? 어디가 진행일까? 솔직히 어디가 진행인지 잘 모르겠지만 뭐 다 해야 그냥 자동 진행될 것 같기도 하고 뭐 이제 부터 가보죠.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Oh, It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the gym button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the gym button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of
그거마저
who you
뺏어가는 거야?
actually are.
Jim.
확대는 없죠. 확대는 버튼이 2개밖에 없네.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
뭐 게임에서 짐을 들으실 수 있습니다. 새로운 기능이 도대체 뭐가 있는 건지. 에필로그. 양동이부터 가보죠. 저기도 안 가보지 않았나 싶은데요. 근데 막 도전과제 퍼줄 것 같은 느낌이었는데 도전과제 하나밖에 안 받았어요 지금. 뭔가 게임 스타일은 뭔가 잘 줄 것 같은, 도전과제가 엄청 많을 것 같은 그런 게임이었는데.
This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
무한히 안 떨어지는 게 아닐까라는 생각이 잠깐 들기도 하고요.
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated
그러니까
the
끝이
infinite nature of the
있는
hole.
것 같은데요.
Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you.
그래.
You found the bottom of the hole.
Okay.
You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole.
올라가면 되겠죠?
I'll just be up here when you're ready.
저기 위에 있네. 저기 위.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
바뀌었네요. 거의 끝없는 구멍.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle.
아래서 남겨뒀어야 됐나요?
Oh,
아,
I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
아니 새로운 컨텐츠가 아니잖아. 근데 새롭지 않잖아요. 아, 이런.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it.
뭐 없잖아. 뭐야?
I'm happy to say that after
뭐죠,
much
이게?
consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the
그래요.
slightest
매력적인
bit more
사람이
attractive as a
됐다면
person.
참
The
좋네요.
benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
가죠?
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
찾을 수 있을 거다. 뭐야? 모두 모아보세요.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them and then you move the hell on.
원래
with your
수집 요소는
unremarkable
뭐
life.
큰 보상을 바라고 하는 건 아니긴 하죠. UI가 전혀 예상치 못한 그런 UI네.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
보자, 어디 안 갔죠? 점프서클 했고, 무료 도전 과제 했고, 짐 버튼 했고, 월드 챔피언? 버킷 했고, 데코레이션을 갔나 모르겠네요. 일단 샵? 샵이랑 세미콜론 3번. 뭐 저쪽? 나머진 다 갔던 것 같네요. 뭔가 돌려까는 느낌인데, 그죠? 레이 트레이싱이 추가되었지만, 뭔가 그대로 여기 있네. 설정 세계 챔피언. 가보도록. 뭐야, 안 되네? 모르겠네요. 이제 어디로 가야 되죠? 대충 다 둘러본 것 같은데요.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
여기 했잖아. 다 봤네. 그쵸? 다 봤는데? 뭐 엑시트로 나가면 되는 게 아닐까.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but
뭔가 스탠리 패러블 박람회? 뭐 이런 걸 본 느낌이에요.
There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
와, 이런 상상을 하지도 못했는데.
Well, I
와,
mean,
이렇게
there's
멋있게
potential here, right?
한 대
It's
모으다니.
sort of, okay,
대단한데요, 정말.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
이렇게까지 한다고? 느낌은 있는데요. 느낌이 있는데.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
이러고 돌아올 것 같네요.
Was
그렇죠?
happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How in... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
아, 근데 이걸 안 가보긴 했네, 생각하니까. 여길 안 갔네요.
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance
시키는
section
대로를 한
and
번도 안
walked straight ahead
갔네.
to the opposite
다
door.
옆길로 가거나 이러기만 하고 정작 중요한 이쪽은 안 가본 것 같은 느낌이 있는데요? 이쪽 안 가지 않았나?
Still no one was here.
갔나? 아, 갔던 것 같기도
Stanley
하고.
needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office
근데 뭔가
was where he'd
중간에
find
갔지
answers.
처음부터 갔던 적은 없었던 거. 아, 여기 내려가는
Coming to a
것도
staircase,
안
Stanley and the
해봤네요.
bucket
내려가
walked
봅시다.
upstairs to the boss's office. You found one of them.
Bye-bye.
One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? he asked the bucket.
양동이랑 얘기하고
The bucket returned his
있으면
gaze, but said nothing at all.
제정신이 아닐 가능성이.
That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were
그러니까.
repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He
왜
had
이렇게
to find
많아요,
the bucket.
엉뚱이가.
He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
뭐야 이게?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course, he got
양동이가
mad,
없이
ranting
왔으면
and
어떻게
raving about the
되는
narrator
걸지
describing
궁금하긴
all of his
하네요.
actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
또 돌아왔어요.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
양동이 가져가지 맙시다.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
뭐야? 위치 가르쳐 주는 것 같은데. (4번) 레드 앤 블루. 다시 한 바퀴 돌아야 되나?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished.
똑같은 거
His
같네요.
boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last,
비슷하네요.
he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream.
가만히 있어 보죠. 뭐 대사만 들으면
What a
되는 것
relief
같으니까.
Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
떠오르기
Then
시작했다고?
he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all
꿈이 아니라면?
entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and
이제
make the magical
깨워주세요.
stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this
봤던 걸 한
world.
번씩 다시
Let me wake up,
보라는 게
he said to
아닐까.
himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
일단 괜찮은 것 같진 않아요. 아, 왜 여기야?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
이젠
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
끝났네. 오케이.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
다시는 가지 맙시다.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic. Perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
양동이를 들고 올 걸 그랬나? 양동이 들고 오면 뭔가 다른 연출을 볼 수 있었을 것 같긴 한데요.
About and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go from here. It's left. Oh no, it's to the right. My mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
혹시 여기 있나?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
하도 반복을
All of his
하니까
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
네,
room.
이게
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
끝이 있는 게임인가 싶어요. 있겠죠?
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
뭐야?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
이것까지가 한 사이클이었구나. 그럼 이거 좀 긴데, 그쵸? 다른 경로는 없었던 것 같고 여기.
I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart. All right,
투라고 적어놨네.
This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that? No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
다른 길이 더 있나? 일단 보긴 해야 될 것 같네요.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
피규어 찾고 있는데 안 보이네요.
the music, go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
없네요.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this
뭔가
is
2회차 하는
exciting.
느낌이에요,
Just
지금.
me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important
근데
we
맞게
mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I
왔네.
believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay.
빨간 문,
so
파란
I know
문,
that
레드 앤
each
블루가
door has to
여기가
lead
아닌가
somewhere,
그 생각이
which
들거든요.
means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
여기
what's this?
아닌가? 어디였지?
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So,
다시 시작하자.
okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
돌아왔네요.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't
저기
talk.
있는데 저
But Stanley
어떻게
chose
하지?
not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
뭐야 저 어떻게 가지? 일단 뛰어내리는 거 아닌 것 같고요. 저쪽에 저기서 나올 수 있는 길을 찾아야겠네.
No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket
뭐야?
and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
여기?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test
이건 또
scenarios,
뭐야?
and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
퀴즈쇼 같은 건가 봐요.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not
아오,
an actual bucket.
잠시만요. 좋아요.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
양동이야.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket?
심리전인데
Correct. This is
그치?
a bucket. Item 6.
무조건 제가 한 말을 틀렸다고 하는 건 아닌가 봐요.
Trick question. both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think?
그만해!
Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence, and yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry, but I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was
또
everything a
복구시켜
bucket?
주겠지.
Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
아니 이게 뭐야?
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
찾고 싶긴 한데.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the
벽난로는 아마
boss's
여기
office.
있었던 게 아닐까. 여기 열리네? 뭐야 이게? Money for breakfast.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
아니 뭐야 문이 열리잖아. 아니 뭐야? 아니 이럴 수가. 아니 뭐 엘리베이터가 있었잖아. 이런. 내려가는 건지 올라가는 건지 모르겠네. 두 개 다 눌러가지고. 내려갈 수가 없는 건가? 아이 뭐야?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his
여기가
darkest of
벽난로인데?
hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
자, 열어주세요.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
내려갑시다.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
뭐야?
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back
다시
up?
올라갈 수
When I
있네?
was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
뭐야? 아, 아직 안 본 게 꽤 있구나.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3,
특별해
he
보이진
got back
않았는데.
in the elevator. Perhaps the bucket had missed
다시
something.
올라갈 수 있지 않을까 또?
Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly. No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing. Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He
아니 뭔가
told
준비해 놓은 거 보면 뭐가 더
stories through
있을 것
the number 3, stories of
같은데
his dreams and hopes and
모르겠네요.
fears. And the whole time he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be? Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
못 나가잖아.
But of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. Nope, it's death for Stanley and the bucket.
무한한 그건 아니었나 봐요.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator. as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a
양동이.
glorious bucket to behold. Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
뭐야 이게?
No man can
귀찮으니까 다
own a
보진
bucket,
말죠. 그냥
and certainly
대충
not
보게
a
됐죠.
bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
어?
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
계속 반복인가?
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
하나는 그 레드블루는 알겠고 하나는 아까 거기에 있던 그쪽 그 길을 찾아야 하고 그런 거 같네요. 그럼 다 찾았네요.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do?
문 열어.
What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the
정말
operation.
난해하군요.
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket
뭔가
made a
전력을
sassy
복구할
comment
수도 있나
about taking
본데.
down the system.
순서대로 누르는 건가? 글쎄요. 올라갈 수가 없는데 일단. 이게 다 눌리긴 하네. 아, 켤 수 있을 것 같은데? 뭐가 막고 있는 건지 잘 보이지가 않네, 어두워가지고. 켤 수 있는 법은 있을 것 같은데 저쪽 위로 가는 법을 모르겠어서 일단 이걸로 가서 켜고 뒤로 와야 되나? 아 맞다 그때 껐지. 오늘 하면
When at
되겠다.
last they came to the source of... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through
이게 다
one video
뭐야?
of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone. Not with the
하하.
bucket around.
어? 아니 뭐 숨겨진 건 되게 많은 것 같긴 해요. 인풋을 한번 나올 것 같긴 하네.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo
Oh.
lift.
카드를 구해야 되나 본데. 화물 승하에 움직이는 동안 뛰어내리지 마라. 의도된 플레이는 아닌 것 같아도 왔어요. 왔어요.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different
빨강,
in the
파랑
sense
오르는
that
게
we used to
어디였더라?
have
기억이 안 나네.
none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
뭐야? 여긴 어디야? 진입하는 게 이쪽이 맞나? 뭐야 이거?
Okay,
This is day number 295. Take number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I
뭐야,
see
이거?
the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
뭐지 이게?
But Stanley simply
Ah, well.
couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever.
아니요,
I
나갈
will be
건데요.
happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
이게 보이지 않는 곳의
All of
상호작용?
his co-workers were... Wait, no. This
굉장히
isn't the right
많네요.
office, is it? Is this Stanley's office? The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top.
여기
There's something
아닌가?
up there I need you
모르겠네요.
to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop! Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley.
아, 그러니까 이게
All of his co-workers were gone.
리스타트용이구나.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
루트 잘못한 거 같으면 그냥 다시 하라고 그런 거 같네요, 그죠?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. And there it is. The last
마지막.
Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward.
정말?
I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices.
이제 보고
The two of us
할까요?
always
뭐
trying
대충
to
다
get
본 것
somewhere that
같은데.
isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
어,
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes.
뭐야 이게?
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
여긴 또 어디야?
No, wait. Where are you going? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
아, 죽으라고? 좀 더 둘러보죠. 뭐 더 있나?
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
아, 여기는 못 떨어지는구나.
No.
어쩔 수 없네 그럼.
What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you? No! Oh, thank God you lived. No, No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this
한
away from
번
me.
더.
I can't go back to what I was
한
before.
번 더.
If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
왜 뒤로?
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
세 번은 해봐야겠죠?
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
옆으로.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore.
뭔가 점점
I just wanted us to get
느려지는 것
along.
같기도 하고.
But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well,
기분
this one is
탓인 것
yours.
같기도 하고요.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back. Stanley,
Oh,
I'm
뭐야.
sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
또 가자고? 자, 메모리 존입니다.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again.
그렇죠. 더
Stanley.
있을 수도 있죠, 사실. 그렇네. 7개네.
And here was a second Stanlerine. I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
여긴 또 뭐야?
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
오피스지.
No. Behind the boss's office was the 4th place you found a Figanli, not the 3rd. Well, I guess perhaps I shouldn't be surprised. Memories like these are so precious and so cherished that they all
틀렸나?
just sort of blend
그러니까.
together, don't they? You know what? If the boss's office feels like the 3rd place you found a collectible, then who am I to go making judgments? Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
이런 방에 온 기억은 없는데.
This was the 5th mini-Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
와, 무료 템플릿으로 만든 것 같은 이 영상 뭐하냐 진짜.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
그래요. 마지막이
then
뭐
we
어떤
came to the
거네요.
last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like. And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the Memory Zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
에?
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the Memory Zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more.
거꾸로 가자고?
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video. Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
어? 갈 수가 없는데 어떻게 하지? 아, 그냥 나가는 건가?
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it, the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
도망치죠. 뭔가 잘못된 것 같아요.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a... Oh, yes! The two doors! Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
리스타트?
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much
공식으로
fun to
크레딧
play
나오는
with.
건 없는 건가?
You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
또 가?
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The
이쪽
cargo lift, yes.
안
Go
가봤죠,
there.
양동이
Good.
들고?
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
어디 열리거나 뭐 다른 게 있는 게 아닐까?
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up
왠지
the phone,
플러그가
and it will
있었네.
take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing
엔딩을
is so
다
difficult. I wish
볼게요
I were
이제.
better at it, but there
보고 뭐
isn't
대충 다 본
exactly
것
an
같으면
instructional
끝내도록
video on
합시다.
comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is
이건
comedic
또 뭐야?
timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now. Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
돌아가죠?
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches.
야,
A
못
talking
뛰어내리게
bucket, you'll say. How ridiculous.
난간을 다
absurd.
쳐놨네,
What a
이제.
hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this was all covered very clearly. There's no way I
미안,
can
안
make
보고
the
있었다.
comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley?
근데
Are
뭐
you proud?
무너뜨리니까
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two
알았어.
open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which
빌드업이 있긴
culminates in
했지.
this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison.
뭐야, 끝이야?
Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are.
좋습니다.
No?
뭔가 더
Still not
있는 것 같긴 한데
Is it the delivery?
이제 끝내면 될 것 같다라고 얘기하려고 했는데 마침 그냥 끝났네요.
Pale. What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it
좋습니다.
playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley.
어떻게 해야 끝이 나는지는 잘 모르겠어요.
I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos.
대부분 다 봐서 그런 건지 아니면 저 플로우를 뽑는 게 그거였는지 뭐 어쨌든 좀 뭔가 게임적으로는 좀 난해한 것 같기도 하고요. 어쨌든 크레딧 나왔으니까 뭐 계속 반복인 것 같은데 여기까지 하도록 하겠습니다. 스탠리 패러블은 좀 재미있었던 포인트도 있고 좀 난했던 것 같습니다. 스탠리 패러블 울트라 디럭스였습니다.